radio frequencies are limited public resource and they should be used for public good and public convenience. Kung may available, yun ang pwede.
Para siyang isang midnight appointment na malapit nang matapos yung administration, bigla lang magbibigay siya ng ano-anong frequencies at kung ano-anong pabor sa kanyang mga kaalyado.
Kasi kung na-award na yung frequency na yon, wala na magawang ABS-CBN.
In a sudden and unexpected turn of events, ABS-CBN's former frequencies have been handed over to several broadcasting companies. And two of these, one digital and another analog, have been granted to Manny Villar's Advanced Media Broadcasting.
Aleo Broadcasting and Swara Sug Media, more popularly known as Sunshine Media Network, have been given provisional authority to install, operate, and maintain channels 23 and 43 respectively, both previously handled by ABS-CBN. Good evening, I'm Gretchen Ho.
And I'm Ed Lingao. You're watching The Big Story. The National Telecommunications Commission's confirmation that ABS-CBN's former frequencies have been farmed out opens more questions and answers. For one, can the network still contest the granting of those frequencies?
And more importantly, can the media giant still reacquire those frequencies? Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez gives us a front seat to the big story.
The National Telecommunications Commission confirmed it granted Manny Villar's Advanced Media Broadcasting System control over ABS-CBN's flagship Channel 2, but for test broadcast purposes only, effective until the 2023 deadline to turn off analog channels. It also gave AMBS provisional authority to operate digital frequency Channel 16 for 18 months. Advanced Media was acquired by Villar just last year through his company Planet Cable, which is now run by his son Paulo. It's been almost 2 years since ABS-CBN lost its franchise. Villar's daughter Camila, a sitting congresswoman, was one of those who voted against ABS-CBN. The NTC said that AMBS had been waiting for a digital TV frequency since 2006. But it's unclear how the commission vetted the firm's technical and financial qualifications, as the selection process wasn't made public. The memo shows it was cleared by the Department of Justice, where Villar's daughter-in-law works as an undersecretary, though there's no proof that she was involved. Still, former NTC Commissioner and DICT Undersecretary Eliseo Rio says there should have been a public hearing.
It is really up to the NTC Commissioner to come up with points, no? May public hearing yan and things like that. In fact, ABS-CBN can object on granting its, those frequencies, or everybody for that matter.
If, and this is a big if, ABS-CBN does secure a franchise under the next administration, does that mean they can still get back the same channels? Rio says it's still up to the NTC.
Kasi kung na-award na yung frequency na yon, wala na magawang ABS-CBN, no? But as of now, it is just a parang test lang, no? Whether the frequencies can be used efficiently by the new owner.
But what about applying for other frequencies?
Sa ngayon, walang available frequencies in Metro Manila area or most of the country. The only available broadcast frequencies are what used to be with ABS-CBN.
Meanwhile, the NTC also farmed out ABS-CBN's other digital channels. Channel 23 was given to Aleo Broadcasting Corporation, while Channel 43 was awarded to Swara Sug Media Corporation or SMNI, which is owned by Duterte's advisor Pastor Apollo Kibuloy. Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez, We Are One News.
Now, what are the implications of the NTC's move to forward to Duterte-backed business giants what was once ABS-CBN's TV frequencies? This big question and more with Justice DOJ Chief State Counsel George Ortha II. Attorney Ortha had a direct hand in the DOJ's legal opinion on the granting of the frequencies by the NTC. Attorney Ortha, welcome to The Big Story and thank you for joining us tonight.
Hi, thank you very much, Ed, and Good evening to you and to all of your televiewers.
Yes, sir. So, Attorney, we understand that the NTC first sought the DOJ's legal opinion before issuing its January 5 order. Can you run us through exactly what was the question, the legal question that that NTC had to consult with you, and how was it resolved?
Well, essentially, the request of NTC revolves on two issues. No? One is whether it can issue Certificate of Public Convenience and Necessity or provisional authorities. The second one is the assignment of such frequencies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Why did that? Why did they have to get the DOJ's opinion on this? Isn't that part of the NTC's authority to grant a provisional authority?
Yes, exactly. No, that's clearly one of the powers, or these two issues. No, clearly it's within the power of the NTC. Except that they have a memorandum circular issued sometime in 2014 that within Mega Manila, okay, they won't be issuing any more authority for those who apply for the digital terrestrial TV. No, so they wanted to clarify if, despite that circular, they can still allocate available frequencies. So that was essentially the issue there.
Yes, Attorney. Attorney, if you don't mind, let me ask you this: was this legal opinion in any way just an administrative matter, or was it in any way involved with regard to who the frequencies are allocated to?
It was purely a legal question. Okay, so let me be very clear on that. There was no particular person or entity mentioned in the request for opinion. And in fact, the DOJ is not aware of how there were available frequencies, how it came about. We don't know whose entity, whose franchise expired. And we do not know also to whom these available frequencies will be assigned to. So it was purely legal, on the legal question of, despite this memorandum circular issued in 2014, whether the NTC is authorized or whether the NTC is not hindered by this memorandum circular from assigning available frequencies.
Mm-hmm. Sir, if you don't mind, my last question. When was this legal opinion sought by the NTC of the DOJ? Was it in 2020 or earlier?
Oh, I think it was November, early November of 2021.
Oh, 2021. Okay.
Yes, early November, yes.
Okay. DOJ Chief State Counsel George Ortha II. Attorney Ortha, thank you for joining us tonight. News of the frequency takeover seems to have caught a lot of us by surprise, but moves to acquire frequencies have been in the works even before the ABS-CBN franchise expired in the year 2020. In 2019, Congress renewed the broadcast license of radio station 103.5K Light, operated by Advanced Media Broadcasting System. The Jose Luis Vera-owned firm has been on the waiting list for a digital media frequency since 2006. That door was opened when in 2020, Congress voted not to renew ABS-CBN's franchise. But in December of 2021, Advanced Media admitted to the Senate that it was already cash-strapped. This is where the Villar's Planet Cable enters the picture, as it purchased AMBS, in turn also acquiring its spot in the line for a digital frequency. And that brings us to January 5 this year, with the NTC awarding the now Villar-owned Advanced Media the provisional license to use and operate the digital Channel 16 frequency in Metro Manila and Mega Manila. This also includes a temporary permit to test broadcast for 18 months on the analog Channel 2 frequency.
These are the other big stories tonight. No more exemptions. The Department of Transportation is giving workers 30 days to get fully vaccinated before they are banned from taking public transportation. Lawmakers are recalling a recommendation to file charges against Health Secretary Francisco Duque and former FDA Chief Domingo for supposed inconsistencies on the use of certain drugs to treat COVID-19. And speaking of COVID treatment, researchers are studying a compound of cannabis that may be able to help prevent or ultimately treat COVID-19. These big stories after the break.
Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Ed Lingao.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. Heads up to those unvaccinated and partially vaccinated. You only have 30 days to complete your COVID-19 shots.
After this, concerned agencies will strictly implement the no vax, no ride policy. Mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro gives us a front seat to the story.
The clock is ticking yet again for the unvaccinated. In a joint statement, the Interior, Labor and Transportation Department said the unvaccinated and partially vaccinated workers have 30 days left, starting today, to access public transportation. Once this lapses, only the fully vaccinated can access PUVs.
We're giving people, especially the workers, an opportunity to get vaccinated or to complete their vaccination within a 30-day window. And after that, we will implement strictly already the policy in public transportation.
As for the exemptions to the policy made by DOTr, it will still be in place by February 25. This includes passengers with medical conditions, those getting or delivering essential goods, and those headed to vaccination sites. Interior Undersecretary Jonathan Malaya says the policy is meant to protect those not fully vaccinated and the healthcare system. But others have a different take. Trade Union Congress of the Philippines spokesman Alan Tanhusay says the policy is too coercive.
Ang laking perwisyo sa mga manggagawa at marami sa kanila ang hindi pinasakay.
Meanwhile, the president of the Integrated Bar of the Philippines says the policy violates a person's right to transportation. He adds that executive orders and local ordinances are not laws. Malaya, however, argues that local ordinances are laws. So long as it does not dispute national laws, then it is valid.
The national law is RA 11525 or the Vaccination Act. Ang nakalagay lang naman doon, vaccination card is not a requirement for education, employment, and similar government transaction. Yun lang. It's a clear list, no? And it does not include public transportation.
Mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro, we are One News.
As the unvaccinated in Metro Manila find it hard to commute owing to the no vax, no ride policy, some racketeers are taking advantage of their plight by selling fake vaccination cards. Justin Punsalang with the story.
In this police surveillance video, a man can be seen editing what appears to be a normal computer document. But upon closer inspection, the document turned out to be Pasay City's signature pink vaccination card. This scene is not from any vaccination site, but from a printing stall in Libertad, Pasay, where a vaccination card only costs 100 pesos. Pasay City Police arrested the suspect who was identified as Marcelo Cabansag. This entrapment operation stemmed from an operation where 2 jeepney barkers were arrested on Monday. Their MO, selling fake vaccination IDs to unvaccinated passengers. But if Cabansag only sells Vax card for 100 pesos, the barkers' offer is 500 pesos each.
Nagkaroon kami ng follow-up kanina ng entrapment operations together with our investigators.
Cabansag said he only prints fake vaccination cards whenever people would approach and beg him for an ID due to the government's no vaccine, no ride policy. He also admitted that he has sold a number of Vax cards since December.
More or less 50 vaccination cards. So we are suspecting na mayroong nag-circulate ngayon na 50 more or less 50 vaccination cards.
The Pasay City Police confiscated all of Kabansag's equipment which was used for the illegal production of vaccination cards. The police also recovered blank vaccination ID templates where doctors' signatures were printed as well. The suspect is detained at Pasay City Police Station where he will be charged with falsification of public documents in relation to mandatory reporting of notifiable diseases and health events of Public Health Concern Act. The police has a reminder for those planning on using or manufacturing fake vaccination IDs.
Falsified pala yung documents, pwede kang alistahin nun. Yun yung risk na isa. Number 2 is yung health risk naman nung gumagamit din.
For News 5, Justine Punsalang. We are One News.
The lower house has recalled its recommendation to file charges against Health Secretary Francisco Duque and resigned FDA Director General Eric Domingo. House panel on Good Government and Accountability Chairman Representative Ediwa Aglipay says they first have to observe due process. He said they have to get Duque's side first. Lawmakers earlier pinned Duque for the Health Department's supposed inconsistencies in adopting WHO recommendations on the use of experimental drugs. Panel members also earlier said that former FDA Chief Domingo failed to regulate the supply and price of COVID treatment and allegedly failed to approve drug companies' applications for automatic renewal.
Three COMELEC officials are set to retire next week, namely COMELEC Chairman Sharif Abbas and Commissioners Rowena Guanzon and Antonio Co. Jr. COMELEC spokesman James Jimenez says this will have no effect on the upcoming 2022 elections as operational duties have already been turned over. However, delays are expected in resolving the petitions filed to disqualify Bongbong Marcos from the presidential race and other similar petitions in need of review. Incoming commissioners will be given a study period before being able to participate in cases.
Mag-aaral pa yan sila, baka mas lalong tumagal. So that will probably be taken into consideration when the commission decides whether or not to take this up sooner rather than later.
No matter how fast you are,
I am not to be compared to you.
no one outruns their past.
Buckle up, Fast and Furious fans. After over 6 months since its international debut, the 9th installment of the action film has finally gone full speed in the Philippines. Vin Diesel and the cast are back for some out-of-this-world scenes. F9 also marks the return of Justin Lin as director. Lin helmed the film's 3rd to 6th chapters.
Started off as this car, race movie with all these characters, and through the years we've kind of acknowledged their evolution and their growth.
Also returning are cast members Michelle Rodriguez, Tyrese Gibson, and Sung Kang, among many others.
It was amazing to have this reunion again and being invited back and seeing your old friends again.
Making his debut in the franchise is John Cena, who plays as a skilled assassin.
It was a bit of a process, but the family is no joke, and that isn't just on screen, it's also off screen.
Fast and Furious is now showing in select Philippine cinemas. For News 5, MJ Marfori, we are One News.
Time for another quick break. When we return, after the president threatened to name the most corrupt presidential bet, the National Police says it's already running background checks on the hopefuls. Has a new treatment against COVID-19 been found? Cannabis, as it turns out, might be high on compounds which blocks infection. And Patafa may have stripped Obiena's coach of his mentoring duties, but Association President Philip Huico has also just been declared persona non grata. The details after the break.
evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Ed Lingao.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. The latest pronouncements of President Duterte has forced the PNP to do a background check on the presidential aspirants.
The candidates, meanwhile, welcome any possible probe as long as this helps the public decide who to vote for in the coming polls. Marty Bautista with the story.
Kailangan malaman ng tao because you are electing a president. Sino yung pinaka-corrupt na kandidato?
This is the bomb that President Duterte threatens to drop before the May 9 elections. He did not say when exactly he will make the revelation, but he did drop hints. According to Duterte, one of the candidates really cannot be a president, while another can be elected president but is too corrupt. With such claims, the PNP says it's now doing a background check on the presidential aspirants.
Of course, we have to study who are running, ano yung past. Ibig sabihin, we look at the historical data so we can prepare properly kung ano ba yung posible namin maging action.
This is not the first time that President Duterte has taken a swipe at the presidential aspirants. In fact, Vice President Leni Robredo has been on the receiving end of his tirades time and again. But Robredo says she welcomes such information, whether from the president or not, as long as it's factual. Ultimately, Robredo says she's unbothered.
Hindi ko kailangan depensahan yung sarili ko. Dahil yung ginagawa ko naman, yung track record ko, yung aking resibo. Yung sa akin, very consistent naman ako eh. Yung mga ginagawa ko, hindi lang naman tuwing eleksyon.
The camp of Senator Ping Lacson, meanwhile, asks, shouldn't the president's information be used as a basis for filing charges in the courts if grounded on facts and evidence? Recall that the president in the past also alleged that a presidential bet uses cocaine. When asked for updates, the PNP said they have yet to get evidence to back the president's claim.
Hindi, information. Kasi kung may evidence, nag-charge na kami before the court.
As for the Marcos camp, they maintain that they don't feel alluded to the president's drug use claims. In an interview with DZRH, Marcos said he never used illegal drugs and that he's too busy for that. For News 5, Marty Bautista. We are One News.
And here are some of the big stories around the world. A cancer researcher at the University of Chicago is studying immune responses, says that cannabidiol might just help block COVID-19 infection. Initial studies on cannabidiol, or CBD, showed that the active ingredient of cannabis did not prevent coronavirus from infecting cells in a test tube, but stopped the virus from replicating. The researchers say the compound warrants further investigation in rigorous clinical trials.
For the big story in sports, Ukrainian pole vault coach Vitaly Petrov has spoken out against the Philippine Athletics Track and Field Association after he was stripped of his coaching duties. In a Facebook post, Petrov says in his 7 years coaching EJ Obiena, money has never been an issue and that there were times when he would spend his own money to help Obiena improve. Petrov says never has he been scorned by any federation of any nation. The Philippine Olympic Committee, on the other hand, officially declares Patafa President Philip Huico as persona non grata. During an executive board meeting attended by 54 national sports associations, 36 voted yes to declaring Huico as persona non grata, including Olympic gold medalist Heidelin Diaz and swimmer Jessie Lacuna. POC President Bambo Tolentino says Huico will stay as athletics president for other matters, but will no longer be recognized by the POC. Tolentino says Patafa could still function as an NSA under the National Olympic Committee.
And here's a showstopper for sure. Mommy Nicole Marbella has become a viral sensation online for twirling the baton while she was very pregnant.
People online could not help but worry as the expectant mommy steals the show with her baton exhibition. Band leader and majorette Mommy Nicole was initially watching from the sidelines as the San Ildefonso Band 78 performed during a fiesta in Tanay, Rizal. But it seems the majorette in her could not stay quiet, and so she took the baton and stole the show.
Her on-the-spot performance was met with praise and cheer, while others jokingly said, "Ate, yung bata," as if to remind her to be careful because, of course, she is very much pregnant.
Yung bata! Yung bata! Ate, yung bata!
Sino may sabing hindi kaya ng mga babae? Nabuntis, di ba?
Nabuntis.
Oo, ang galing, di ba?
Well, inintay ko mag-split siya or tumambling eh.
It's a testament to what women can do. But please, mag-ingat mo kayo kasi kawawa naman yung bata. Kaya mo ba yan?
Hindi ko kaya yun.
Hindi mo talaga kaya kasi hindi mo kaya Well, that wraps up today's big story. Catch us again tomorrow at 8 p.m. on Signal Channels 8 and 250.
Please like our Facebook page, One News. For more in-depth analysis, visit our webpage, onenews.ph. Mask on.
Wash hands.
And stay safe, Philippines. On behalf of Robbie Lampaya, I'm Edwin Gao.
And I'm Gretchen Hall. We are One News. Have a good evening.